if you want to maintain detailed notes in a notebook where you want to create sections having pages, this type of organization you want to maintain while using handwritten notes including math equation, figures, etc., there is one nice software for Windows users. This is OneNote software, which is free. So you can use this software to maintain your notes, and this supports the pen option as well. Just reiterating, if you want to use this pen software OneNote, you do have to invest in either a bamboo tablet or a Surface Pro, this is for Windows user, or an iPad Pro for a Mac user. So this is really for people who want to do a lot of board work and maintain all their notes in a organized fashion. For them, this solution, which is the bamboo tablet combined with OneNote or a Surface Pro combined with OneNote, is what will work. Now, how do you use this software? Again, these are all for your reference. I will explain it through a demo. I have opened OneNote. What we will see first is how to organize the notes. So for that, I'm going to go to File, create a new notebook. For that, I'm pressing New. And I want this new notebook on my computer. So I'm selecting Computer, and then I'm going to press, and I'm going to give a name to my notebook. Let me call it Demo. And I'm saying Create Notebook. So this leads me to this page where Demo is the name of my notebook. Now this notebook has many sections. Let me say I want to name my sections as follows. So let's say first section, to name it, I'm going to right click it. So I have a rename button. I'm clicking on rename, and let me call this Windows. And I want to add one more section. So I'm pressing plus, and here let me call it Linux. Let me say I want to add one more section, again pressing plus here, and I'm calling it Mac. So this notebook has 3 sections. Now let me go back to the Windows section. Now what shows here is a page within the Windows section. I can name the page by typing something at the cursor. So let me say PowerPoint there. So as you can see, as I type it here the page name shows up. And this point on is where you start writing notes. We will get to these notes later. Let's continue with the organization. Within the Windows section, PowerPoint is one page. I can add another page by clicking on the add page. Let me call it OBS. So that is the other page that I have named, and you can see here that there are 2 pages, PowerPoint and OBS. You can keep adding how many ever pages you want within this particular Windows section. The same thing you can do for Linux also. So let me do it as journal. So that is the name I have given here, and so on. Now, while we have created these sections and pages, you may also want to rename them, or you may want to delete them. Renaming is as simple as changing the name here like this, and you can also right click and rename here. If you don't want this page, you can also delete it. So I'm pressing delete, so that thing went away, the section is empty. Let me go to the Windows section where there are multiple pages. So here I'm going to delete OBS. So this is how I delete a page. If I want to delete a section, the same process, right click, select one, right click it, and delete it. It last section whether you want to delete, yes, so that section got deleted. Now that we have organized our notes into sections and within a section into pages, all writing happens within a page. So let's see how to add content to a page. For this, so here is a page, PowerPoint. If you want to add text, it is just a matter of typing it. like this. You can keep adding text. You can also add images by clicking on insert. You can insert pictures, you can insert tables and so on. But the thing we are more interested in is how to use handwritten notes. As I mentioned, if you are using OneNote, you require a bamboo tablet or a Surface Pro style laptop with a pen. And the main thing that is of interest to us is this draw. So I'm going to click on draw, and when I click it, I'm going to see a lot of options. Let's see a few of these. So here are the pens that are available to draw. You can select whatever pen you want. You can also select the color and thickness here, but I'll just use an existing pen. So let me just choose a red pen with 0.35 mm thickness. This is a red pen with 0.5 mm thickness. So I'm just going to select this. Now once I select, as you can see, the cursor has become a point, and I can use the tablet now to write. I can write text. I can write equations. You can draw figures and so on. Now I may not be happy with some of my drawings, in which case I may have to erase this. So to erase, again I'm going to go to draw and I'm going to choose the eraser. There are in fact multiple ways to delete things. Let's start with the eraser. If I click on this tiny arrow here, it gives me some options. So if I were to choose a medium eraser and drag on my mouse pad, it is going to erase like this. You can also choose a stroke eraser. For example, in stroke eraser, if I were to click it on this square, it is going to remove whatever constitutes a stroke. Again, if I click on this, it will remove whatever constitutes a stroke. Stroke erasers are, you have to experiment with what eraser works best for you. I tend to just use the medium eraser and erase like this. That is one way to erase stuff. There is another way to erase. If I want to erase the notes that are typed, I just need to click this and click on this delete. It is going to delete this. Notice that when I click like this, I can also cut paste using Ctrl C, and I can go to some other location and do a Ctrl V. So here I just copy pasted the same thing. If I want to copy paste the equation, again I am going to select it by doing this drag. It got selected. I can either delete it by pressing the delete button or this, or Ctrl C, and I can go somewhere else and do Ctrl V, in which case it will cut paste. So let me delete this. So for that, again I'm dragging and dropping, and I'm going to delete. This two didn't get delete, so let me try once again and then do delete. So that's how you can delete stuff, either using the eraser or drawing a rectangle box and pressing delete. Mistakes can also be corrected by using the undo button, which is here. So for example, if I do undo, my previous number 2 reappears. If I do one more undo, the entire equation reappears. One other useful thing I want to show you, which is in this draw menu, we have covered eraser. Type is basically where if you do this, you can type stuff. Lasso select is like a rectangle select, except that now it is not a rectangle but a lasso. So let me show this also. So this way you can select many things. All these are selected, and if you don't want it, you can just press delete and everything goes away. That is the lasso select. We covered eraser, we covered all this pens. Panning hand is basically to scroll up and down. So you do this with the mouse, you can scroll up and down. So this insert space is also a useful thing. So let me explain its purpose. So for that, let me select this, kind of move it to where I want. Now let's say I forgot to write something in between this equation and this text, and I need to write something in the space, but here there is no space. This is where insert space is very useful. I'm clicking this and I'm putting the line here, and then again I am dragging, and how much ever I drag, that much space I get. Now whatever else I want to write here, let's say A is equal to 2, B is equal to 3, and so on. So that's also a very useful feature when you're doing your lecture notes. A few other things. Ink to text sometimes may be useful. So for example, for this I'm going to again select this and go to draw and do ink to text. As you can see, it replaced my handwriting with the text. You can do ink to math. It doesn't get things correct, so I would just say don't use this feature. So I'm just cancelling. One other thing I want to show is once you select a box like this, you can resize it like this by dragging it. One thing you may have noticed is that each time I have to use the draw tool, I'm having to click here, select something. Let's say I'm selecting an eraser, then I erase something. Then again, if I want to go again, I have to click draw, again I have to choose a pen and then write something. And this can be a little bit tedious. So one thing you can potentially do is click on the draw, and here there is a pin button. You can pin the ribbon, but when you pin it, this entire thing will keep showing all the time. So it is going to occupy a lot of space, but it is there for convenience. Now you can quickly move across the different icons easily. Instead of pinning, there is one other thing you can do. So let me collapse it again by clicking on this arrow. So it disappeared. It's not pinned anymore. Is to use this quick access toolbar, customize it, where you can do more commands here. And anything that you tend to use a lot, for example, if you use eraser a lot, you do add. And if you want to use a favorite pen, you do add. If you are going to use this lasso select, do add. So you can select what you want and then press OK, and all these things will appear here. So that way, if you want to draw, you can just select this and continuing whatever you want to write. If you don't like it, again you can select this eraser and erase it. So this makes life a lot more easier. I think you should explore more of this on your own. There are a lot of features which we have not covered in totality. These are more or less what is useful in making notes. I think this should suffice. One last thing I should mention is how to export your notes. So for that, go to File, go to Export. You can export at a page level, section level, or a notebook level. Let me export at a section level. You can export it in any of these formats. I will just use PDF and then click Export. Now it is going to ask me to select the folder in which to write this PDF. Remember where you are storing it. So this is under OneNote Books demo under my documents, and because the section is titled Windows, it named it Windows. I'm just going to save it. Now when I open my directory folder, here is the demo, and here as you can see a PDF has come. This is my notes which I can now share with my students. So that's all we are going to cover about OneNote. Play around and learn more and make notes.